Welcome to the In Between podcast. Today, I am joined by Jessica Tellian, a certified master life coach, entrepreneur, speaker, podcaster, master NLP and EFT practitioner, and manifestation expert. Jessica is on a mission to teach women how to manifest their desires and confidence easily and effortlessly. Hi, Jessica. Good morning.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. I feel like we just have so much to learn, and I just want to dive straight in. How in the world did you end up here? A manifestation expert, you have all these different master certifications. You are a manifestation, but I feel like also mindset expert. And what really brought you to this place, and how did you become passionate about it?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So what comes up for me is I got to where I am now from wanting to discover more about myself. And I was so unhappy with my life at one point. It looked like I was happy from the outside. Like I had the traditional, like you go to high school, you go to college, you get your big girl job. So I had my big girl job and I had a cool car. I had a beautiful paying job and I worked in a hospital. I looked put together on the outside, but inside I was not happy. I was attracting negative, toxic, narcissistic relationships. The friends I had at the time were not fully supportive of me. And so it really was this like breaking moment where I started noticing that I didn't enjoy my work. Yes, it was fulfilling, but I was so capped. If those who kind of work in hospitals might understand this, like you can really only get to a certain level and have a certain amount of impact while working in like specific settings. Yeah, I could have gone back to school and gotten my like doctorates or whatever, but then still I would not be able to like impact at the level where I wanted to. So it was really a journey of me discovering who I am. And through doing the inner work on myself, I was like, fuck, like I am so passionate about others getting to this level because I didn't even realize this work existed.
Mm-hmm. And when did you realize that you were experiencing kind of that self-sabotage, negative mindset, and craving to get into the abundance, if you will?
Yeah, I feel like there was definitely different layers to it. When, this one specific moment sticks out to me. I remember when I was at my 9 to 5 and I just wasn't really doing the work that I was saying I was doing. And I was like, I have the chills. I'm like, that's not me. I don't like to lie. I'm very big on integrity, but I was basically saying that I was treating patients and like you're supposed to treat them for an hour, but these patients were, like, on their fucking deathbed. I'm not gonna force them to try to get out of bed when they're just not having it, and that's a whole nother conversation, but so that was kind of one of the moments where I was like, "This doesn't feel right for me, and I don't agree with the way things are happening in that setting, so it's time for me to explore elsewhere." Because I also felt like I had that there's, like, a roof over my head, and I don't like feeling trapped at all.
Mhm. It's interesting you say that because I'm reading Green Light by Matthew McConaughey right now, and one of his quotes that he always says is that, roofs and ceilings were made by men. And it was really impactful when I first heard it because it's so true, right? They are made by men, so they can also be destroyed by men. And that's how we need to look at our life is there is no glass ceiling, there is no roof. We can shatter those if we have the mindset to do it.
Yeah, that's so good. And yeah, it just came to me where I was like, I need to leave. And so I quit with really no plan. Everyone's, oh, like, where are you going next? Where's your next job? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna like take some time and figure it out. But I knew like in the back of my head that I wanted to do something else. Like I was always doing fitness on the side. So
Mhm.
I've been a personal trainer for over 10 years. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just focus on personal training and see what happens from there. And then I was doing personal training and I still wasn't happy. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? That's such a big part of my life. Why am I not happy doing it? Like, I just left my job. I'm still not happy. So then the universe presented an opportunity for me to go to Miami. And I'm originally from Jersey, and which I live back here now. But I had this opportunity present to me from the universe. And I was like, okay, let me just go and test it out for a month. I went and I loved it. And I packed my bags up and I moved to Miami and I knew absolutely no one.
How did
Yeah,
that
and
feel?
it was honestly, I feel like I was so ready for it. I'm the type of
Mm.
person where I either like dive in the deep end or I walk in the pool so slow. And so in this situation, I dove right in. I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm going." And I would say that was when I moved out of my parents' house. First time on my own and in a new city, knowing no one. I kind of was like forced to figure it out. But I will say, like, for me in my journey, that was one of the biggest, like, in between moments, if you will. And the most, like, I needed to live on my own to realize that I had a lot of work to do on myself.
Mm, mm. And is that when you started to discover manifestation and all these different practices?
Yeah, so manifestation was actually presented to me a couple years before that. I had I had a physical injury, and so I had to, like, basically be in bed, couldn't walk for a month,
Mm,
and I was always a YouTube girly, like, I always followed, like, the makeup girls on YouTube and the vloggers, and this one girl was talking about this movie, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which is basically all about the law of attraction and manifestation. So here I am at one of my low points in my life, super just like depressed. What the fuck am I doing? I can't walk, all the thoughts. And I discovered this movie and I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. If I'm in traffic and I'm pissed off that there's traffic and I try to get around the traffic, I can't get around, and then more bad things keep happening. That's real. And so that was when it was first presented to me. That was probably like 7-ish years ago or so like that, but I didn't dive into it right away. I was like, "Oh, okay, law of attraction, manifestation. I get it, kind of, whatever." But then when I moved out on my own to Miami, that's when I started reading, and reading was like I was reading self-development books, and the first book
mhm.
I ever read was called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, and that was all about manifesting, the laws of the universe, law of attraction, and it just went on from there. I started going to self-development retreats. That's how I met Ruby, which is the woman who introduced us together. I was facilitating a women's transformational retreat, and that's how I met her, and I'm so grateful for that, and so cool because that's why we're on this podcast together.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Ruby.
Yeah, and, it just kept unfolding from there. I started working for a mentor at the time. I started, discovering other mentors, and I learned about EFT tapping, NLP, and I was like, "Wow, I've always wanted to learn that for myself." And I was kind of coaching at that time before I got certified in NLP and EFT and all those fun things. I didn't have that on my background, and I was curious for myself. I'm like, "I see people tapping on their face. I see people doing this, like, all this work. What is it?" So, I learned it for myself, and it works. So, I was like, "I wanna start implementing that in my teachings and my coaching."
Love it. That's such a cool journey to I think it always means so much more when you go through it yourself and then, taking it into coaching, whether one-on-one group, you're so much more connected because you've been in the spot that they've been in.
Yeah.
It's just more powerful, at least from a client's perspective. When I'm working with a coach that has been in my position, I'm like, okay, I can get out of this. I can change because you did it and you went before me.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes people very successful when they're super passionate about the thing. It's like trying to teach finance if you don't know anything about finance.
Yeah.
There's going to be a disconnect. And if like, the person listening to this right now, if that's kind of where you're at, that's okay because awareness is the first step to change. You can't change something that you're not aware of. So like for me, I just kept working on self. And that's how I discovered what I wanted to do as a business owner and entrepreneur because I knew I always wanted to have my own thing because I didn't want to have the roof over my head, the man-made roof. I love collaborating and working with people. Like I have business partners for other business ventures, but it's still very no roof type of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into the nitty gritty with the EFT and the NLP because I love both of these practices and I am just learning about them. And I think my audience is really going to relate. So would you break down, let's start with NLP. What is
Okay.
it? What is it about? How could it help literally anyone, but specifically I know business owners find a lot of, value in it. What is NLP?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm like super excited to talk about it. I
I know,
love
I'm
talking about
excited.
it. So, the easiest way for me to say what NLP is, it's really understanding your mind and how our mind and our words and our thoughts and our beliefs are all connecting, and they are literally creating our reality. So, there are definitely other teachers and things that teach this, and they don't terminize it, if that's a word, terminize it, label it as NLP, which is okay because it's all about the teaching, which is like what we want to do. We want to spread the good vibes and all of the knowledge. But it's really about the power of our words and how words hold meaning, words hold frequency, and it's literally creating a reality. And so you get what you focus on. And if we're focusing on not attracting clients, not being able to save money, not having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, we're going to keep attracting that because we keep not only thinking that, but we keep saying that and we keep feeling it.
And so
Yeah.
it goes hand in hand with your subconscious, correct?
Yeah, so it's basic like, the way I explain it when people are like, "Oh, what is it?" I'm like, "I just basically know how to talk to your subconscious mind."
Yeah.
So, basically, our subconscious mind is, like, creating our reality. I believe it's our subconscious mind makes up 95% or 85, I can't remember the exact number, and then our conscious mind is the exact opposite. So, basically, like, in a nutshell, our subconscious mind is most active from the ages of 0 to 7. It's like we're walking around as a sponge. So if someone says something to you at that time in your life, like, "No, you're stupid," and it just sticks to you because for some reason it decides to stick to you, and now let's say like you're in your 30s and you feel that way in your business. It's not
Mhm.
because someone said something right now, it's because of what happened at that age. And so you keep attracting that because it's your subconscious mind that is creating your reality. And so people are like, oh my God, fuck, like now what? You can change that. That's what the power of NLP is in EFT and understanding this is there's ways to rewire your subconscious mind. One of them being EFT tapping.
Okay. That's wild. When I first heard that, and I just recently learned about NLP, and for our listeners, there's a day, if you will, in NLP called the breakthrough, which I'm getting ready to do in December. And I had spoken into the universe and was like, I want to scale my business. And it was like right when I said that, everything that happened from 0 to 7 was like, okay, great. Here, you can deal with all of this first. All these negative thoughts, all these negative things kept happening. I literally felt like I spoke it and a brick wall went up and I could not get through it. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, keep doing all these things. I keep following, the roadmap per se. And I'm blessed to have a coach that is also NLP certified. And so she was like, hey, listen, let's step back from the scaling and really look at what's happening and what's not serving you both personally and in your business. And I mean, she's done some things, but I'm so excited to really dive into the NLP side of stuff because since we've already discovered certain parts of things that have happened in my, 0 to 7 age range, it's like this aha moment. Oh, well, duh, that's why I can't reach past a certain number monthly because I don't believe it because of this or because of that. And so it really takes your self awareness to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's honestly the best thing that I could ever say have happened to me. And obviously, since I am certified in it, that's what I use with my clients. And I had this one client who came to me and she wanted to scale her business, but also like work on herself. And so I was, it's honestly, it's all about self. The reason why your business is where it is because of you. Like you are a representation of your business. So if you can't scale it past a certain number, it's let's not focus on what's happening with the business. Like me, like I don't care about what marketing you're doing, to be honest. I don't give a fuck. I care about what you like, how you believe, what you believe
Yeah.
about yourself to be true, because everything else is just going, it's going to be a ripple effect because
Mm.
the outside world is a manifestation of what's going inside. So if you can understand what the blocks are inside, you're going to release them and shift. And you might just meet the person who's going to help you with the scaling and with the marketing that's going to be more aligned to you. Or you're just
Mm.
going to start showing up differently online and you're not going to have to do paid ads and you're not going to have to pay someone to do the things because you're just such a fucking magnet that people are flooding to you. Like, for example, I had a coach who, and I still work with her. and she just started this new program of scaling your business and like understanding ads. And she came to me and she just like, I think this would be so fucking good for you, like all the things. And I was like, I love it. Like, I think that it's amazing. It's such a great offer. But right now, like, I'm not looking to learn ads because I am just like, people are just flocking to me. Like, people, and I say that so humbly,
Yeah.
people are just like coming to me. I'm having videos go viral on TikTok, on Instagram. People are like signing up. Like, I can't even take on any more one-on-one clients
Mhm.
in November because I don't have the space for it. And I say that so gratefully because there was a time in my life where I couldn't even get one comment on a post. And,
Mhm.
still to this day, like I might get a post, I might have one comment, but like just the overall, like it's such a different thing that I'm experiencing right now. And the reason why this is happening to me, like for me, this is happening for me, the going viral and attracting people naturally is because of all the work I've done on myself. I'm just
Mhm.
magnetizing it to me.
Yeah, it really is an internal reflection in your business, in your work, in your life. Whatever's going on internally, whatever limiting beliefs that you have, you will be stuck there and you have to be able to do the work. So, what is the work we can do to reverse all of it?
Yeah. So one of the things which we mentioned before was EFT tapping. So have you done EFT tapping?
I haven't, so that's why I was excited to learn about it.
Yeah. So EFT tapping is called emotional freedom technique. And basically it's derived from ancient Chinese medicine. It's very similar to acupuncture and acupressure in the fact where we use certain meridian points around our body, but we don't have to use any needles. So like acupressure, there's like little needles going in the meridian points. This is literally just tapping on your points. So the meridian points basically means that there are certain areas specifically on our bodies that hold on to stuck energy that's not serving us.
Mm.
So through EFT, we tap out the limiting beliefs, the unwanted feelings, and then we tap in what we do want to feel. And it's scientifically proven through science to reduce your cortisol levels, which are your stress hormones, by 40% in a single session. And that's just one session. And so, with anything, whether it's EFT tapping, whether it's meditating, whether it's visualizing, whether it's NLP, whether it's going to the gym to get a bigger ass, you have to be consistent with it. For example, your breakthrough day, you're going to have the craziest, most amazing breakthroughs, but you get to stay consistent at the level that you're going to be at once you have the breakthrough. Because
Mhm.
it's not just like a band aid, it's not just like medication that they give us at the hospital for a band aid. It's like being consistent with it. But it gets to a point where you don't even feel like you're doing it anymore because it's just become such a part of you
Mhm.
that it's okay, this is how my life is.
Yeah. You have to put in the work after and continue to put in the practices. I would love to hear how you continue to put in the work. Obviously, you're an expert. Obviously, you've done all these trainings, you coach other people. But what does a day look like for you to continue to be at the level you're at and level up?
Yeah, I love that question. So, I practice what I preach, and it could definitely be felt from I don't even have to say it because most people can just, like, really feel it, and when I'm not practicing, because 'cause I'm also human, and sometimes I'm like, "I don't really fucking wanna meditate today," or, "I don't feel like doing this today," like,
Mhm.
I feel different, and I'm like, "Oh, no. Okay. Tomorrow, we're getting back on track." But, yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm perfect because we're all human and, like, things happen, but I am very consistent with my practices, and so I take it very serious because when I don't tap or when I don't meditate or when I don't journal, when I don't visualize, when I don't pour into my cup, like I feel empty because there's no water going in it. So that's when I start to get anxiety. That's when I start to have these limiting self negative talks and I just feel so low. So I do what I can to fill up my cup. So I meditate, I tap, I journal, I show up, I do my self talk rants, I speak my things, all the manifestations into existence. And I just continuously do the work and I trust and I believe and I surrender. Because
Mhm.
sometimes people are like, I'm doing the work, but I don't see anything unfolding.
Mhm.
And sometimes it doesn't unfold right away. Sometimes it does.
Yeah. I love that you say you're human because it's so true. And sometimes with fitness specifically, kind of off topic, but you see these influencers and they're like, you're I go to the gym 7 days a week and I'm perfect every week. And you're like, okay, well, that's not accessible. That is not life. We have brains and feelings and all these things. So the fact that you're sitting here saying like, hey, I'm telling you to do these things, but it's not gonna work every day.
And I don't want to knock anyone in any industry, but I was in the fitness industry and I have friends who are big time fitness influencers and they are also human. Unfortunately, some people show up differently online than they do in real life. But some fitness influencers, they do show up real as they do in real life, and that's what makes it relatable.
Hmm.
And I will say this, like you don't have to go to you don't have to go to the gym 7 days to get the things you want. I have clients manifesting weight loss by not doing anything different besides
Hmm.
maybe going on more walks and being more mindful of what they're eating. And they're not on a diet, they're not following a diet, they're not doing any of these things, but they're changing the way their mindset is toward the food. They're changing the way their mindset is toward their body. They're showing more love to their body, they're showing more body positivity. They're doing more mirror work, which is one of the things that I do, one of the things I teach. And they're manifesting the things that they want because also you could be doing all of this fitness work on yourself, right? You could be going to the gym. But if you aren't happy with your body, your stress levels are going to be higher. And that's going to fight whatever it is that you're doing in the gym. So it's going to bam. And you're
Hmm.
like, fuck, I'm doing what my trainer is telling me to do, but I don't see any results. What is it? It's not the trainer,
Yeah.
it's you.
So I want to talk about that a little bit because I've had conversations with people that are kind of on either side of manifest, and then the other people that are like, well, no, you can't get anything from manifestation. You just have to put in the hard work. You just got to hustle, and that's how you get it. And then there's like this middle, is where I feel you are in that you obviously need both. So, I mean, what's the truth here? Can you manifest and
Yeah.
do nothing? Do you have to put the work in? Is it both?
Okay. In my experience, it is both. You can manifest and do nothing, but it will take longer and it may not get to the exact thing that you want, but
Mm.
you can. The thing, and this is where I see like the total polarized, meaning like total different ends. If you There's people that teach manifestation that's no, just think it and believe it and it's going to come true. Sure. But if you put action behind it, it's going to come true faster and more effectively. And
Mm.
instead of, you know, dropping off a couple of pounds, you're going to get to your goal weight because you're actually taking action. And that's what I teach. Yes, I say, okay, if you don't do anything, sure, it might happen. Also, if you work really fucking hard, you can manifest anything if you work really fucking hard. But do we want to work hard? No, but society has tried to ingrain it in us that you have to work hard to get what you want. And I teach the laws of the universe. One of these laws is the law of least resistance and the path of least effort. So, following what feels best for you. Does it feel better for you to go take a Pilates class with your girlfriend? Or does it feel better for you to go on the Stairmaster for an hour because someone on TikTok said that's how you're going to get a bigger butt? When actually, in reality, that's cardio and that's not going to be how you get a bigger butt. So it's what feels best for you. So to answer your question, I understand all aspects because I've been in all aspects. But what feels best for me and my clients and what I've seen the most tremendous results is when you put aligned action behind your manifestation. If I manifested a new car, right? That car is not going to come to me if I just visualize it sitting in my bed and not going to a dealership. Like I have to put action behind it, but aligned
Mhm.
action. But you know what I did? I saw it online, the exact car, and I scheduled an appointment and there was of course other cars, but I went to the first one that came to me cuz I'm like, let it be easy. I showed up. I literally left that day with the car. I didn't even test drive any other cars. I didn't go test all my other options because everything was so right and I just trusted. But some people think it's too good to be true, and then they psych themselves out of it. And they're like, "No, it's there's probably something wrong with it. I'm not gonna get it."
Mm,
when in actuality, it gets to be easy. It gets to be so smooth and seamless.
mm. Why do you think that people are resistant to manifestation?
Because there could be a couple things. A lot of people have this negative connotation with it where they think it's fake, they think it's made up, they don't think it's real when it's actual science. And for anyone who's like into the Bible and religious scriptures, like it's literally in the Bible. I myself am not religious. I do believe in God, but I've never been religious growing up. So I can't tell you the biblical scriptures specifically, but I have resources I can for you. But you people don't know what they don't know. So if you don't know the science behind it or you don't know, yeah, really the science behind it, it's going to be hard to understand. And that's why it's such a passion of mine to teach the science behind it. So us logical human beings can have this logical sense like, okay, it makes sense because it logically does.
Mm,
Versus there's some people in the world that we call it us delusional. And usually that's the people who believe in manifestation. And so us as humans, like I said, we all have a logical part of us. And so to understand it on a logical level for it to make sense is really that kind of door that opens to help bring it through.
mm. Yeah. I think also it's recently become more trendy, if you will. And so it's opening up a lot of people's minds to the idea of what it is. And we're coming out of a culture that was extremely hustle based, extremely you have to work hard work is the only way. You have to work 20 hours a day, don't sleep, don't eat, don't ask for anything. You have to work for it. And I'm seeing a shift in that of no, you can ask. You can ask for what you want and you can do both. And I think it's such a healthy shift because it really is more focused on the body and the mind versus just let's see how far we can push ourselves and not think and not ask ourselves anything.
Agreed. Yeah. Wherever you go, you have to take your body with you. And like I said, that's why I teach these laws. And they're universal laws. They're not man made. Just like the roof, they don't just make the law of attraction. The law of attraction is always working. The law of assumption is always working. What you assume to be true in your reality will be true with consistent faith and effort behind it. And if anyone wants to really dive deeper into those laws, I teach them all on my podcast. And I feel like to answer that previous question again, is why do I feel like some people don't understand manifestation is because they haven't been exposed to this
Mhm,
knowledge because the people in the world try to hide it from us because humans, the human mind is one of the most powerful things in the world. And once we understand and apply certain things, we're unstoppable.
mhm.
So they try to control us
Yep.
through the news and scare us. Like, step 1, if anyone's watching the news, turn that shit off. If it's important, you're gonna find out about it eventually. But, like, all that's doing is negativity, scarcity, fear.
Yep. Well, it's interesting that you say that because I always use the analogy of putting headphones on, noise canceling headphones, because you're so right. Like the world, the government, everything is going to try to program you. Guess what? Guess what happens when you go on Instagram and they may be your favorite influencers? You're being programmed to like the new trendy shoe or legging and want to buy it. That is real and it's happening. And you need to be so careful about what and who you're consuming and that it aligns with what you're trying to achieve because it is being programmed within you everywhere you go, everything you watch and listen to.
Yeah, and it's really using your own discernment, meaning
Mhm,
tr you just got to trust yourself in making those. I like to, because I used to not know what that word meant, so I like to really explain. I feel like I don't feel I know I have this gift where I am always so called to explain any, like, bigger concept terms that people may not know what they are, but, like, discernment is I it's not judgment, but it's like a safe, nice, judgment-free judgment, like, listening to your intuition. Does this serve me or does this not serve me?
mhm.
And you don't need to ask anyone else. You don't have to
Yep.
ask your mother, your father, your best friend, your twin, your dog. It's all about you.
Yeah. I love to talk about intuition on the show because I've had a couple different people on the podcast that we've talked about intuition, and specifically with women, because I am 29 and I feel like probably 28, 27, I started hearing my intuition and I was like, what is this? Like, what's happening? And now that I'm almost 30, I feel like I am slowly getting a grasp on hearing my own voice, but it's not something that came innately to me. Like, I didn't just know what that was. How do you help women specifically hear their voice, hear their intuition, and then not only hear it, but trust it and lean into it?
That's a great question. So, I like to coach and teach and mentor people to start small, right? If you are at a restaurant and you have always been a very indecisive person with food, look at the menu and ask your body, what does it want right now? The first thing that comes to mind or body, whatever you want to feel, order that
Mm,
and start making decisions based on the first thing that comes to mind. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but like for me when I was younger, my teachers would get mad at me and or tell my parents things like she doesn't think before she speaks, she just acts on impulse and that shuts your intuition off.
mm.
Our
Interesting.
impulse is our intuition. It's our truth. It's coming up, but society has tried to shut it down.
Wow, that's
So,
powerful.
yeah.
That is because a lot of times you just hear that voice and you're like, oh no, it's got to be something else. Or let me research more, let me think more. And I think about when you were talking about the car, is you were so in trusting of yourself in your intuition that you were like, no, that there's no other answer. That's it.
Yeah, when it's normally, if I wanted to follow what society does is they make sure they look at all their options because they
Mm,
wanna find the best one. But it's no, I sat in that car and I was like, "This feels right." It was such a knowing energy. I just felt like my body felt calm. It was like a knowing energy, and that's all I needed to know.
yeah.
And how did I get here is behind really learning my body. And for me, like I said, I've always been a personal trainer, but that doesn't mean I know my body. I didn't know how to listen to my body like for so long. And so I'm trying to think like what was one of the first things I did to start listening to my body. I mean, I would say for anyone listening who really wants to really activate their intuition, one way you could do that is if your body is tired and you agreed to go on a 5-mile run with a friend, but, like, your body it's and make sure it's your body and not your mind trying to talk you out of, like, the 5-mile run. If your body is, like, hurting and it hurts, honor yourself, not
Mm,
because you said yes to your friend. If they're a real friend, they're going to honor you.
mm,
And when we honor ourselves, people outside of us will honor ourselves. So it's actually, "My body needs rest. I'm gonna listen to her."
mm.
I'm going to listen to her. I'm not gonna go on that run. I'm gonna rest. Maybe I'll stretch later.
I love that. I love that's like a real time practice that people can incorporate into their lives is just stopping and listening for something like that, or even the restaurant example. What does my body need? What are you craving right now? And it's so true. It reminds me of women when they're on their periods and they're craving something, but they're trying so hard to maintain a diet and so they don't eat it. And it's, oh my gosh, there's so much freedom in just like having the chocolate if you're craving it and not having the whole thing,
Yes.
but like allowing yourself to have what you're craving.
Yes, 100,000%. I agree.
Yeah. So this podcast is obviously about the in between. And I feel like with what you do, there are so many great practices to incorporate if you're in the in between. For me personally, like when I think of the in between, obviously it could be positive or negative. I find that when I'm in the in between, it tends to be a low point, and I'm just like searching for the answers of what do I do? Where do I go? I would love for you to break down some of the practices that maybe people could use. One, if they're not ready for a coach or, maybe ready for a practitioner that has NLP, all those things. And then maybe in another circumstance, someone who is ready for that. And it's okay, what does that look like? They're both in the in between, but what can they do right now after this podcast to help shift their mindset to help get some answers?
Yeah, so for the person who is not ready to invest fully in a coach or a program or anything like that, use your free resources. So let's say if you resonate with me, go listen to my podcast where I share all of my knowledge and my teachings. Let's say you are wanting to learn more about a different topic. Go read books. That's
Mhm.
how I started. I started through like just free knowledge, if you will. I mean, a book, you have to buy a book, but you could also go to the library and get it for free. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's go to the library. There's a will, there's a way. So, not having money, I don't buy that excuse.
Yeah,
You can figure it out. And I say that very nicely. That was kind of like aggressive, but you can figure it out if you really
it's
want
true.
something. Yeah. So engaging in the knowledge behind it, because that's only going to expand your mind even more to figuring out what you want. Because if you just listen and observe the people who you look up to, the people who you are inspired by, we tell you what we did. Like we tell you what we did to get to where we are, and you see it.
Mhm.
Using your discernment, make sure it's like someone who you are really aligned with in that moment. So that's what I would say for the person who isn't ready to maybe like fully invest like through monetary, like
Yeah.
that type of thing. And I'm sorry,
Sorry, one other question, but before we move
yeah,
to the person who wants to invest, would you say that there's one physical practice? Let's say it's affirmations, mirroring, like straight into meditation. Like
I
if
see
there
what you're
was
saying.
one thing that they could do, what would you recommend?
Probably there's two. They go hand in hand. It's being able to find a sense of stillness and quietness and peace. So whether that's meditating, whether that's a visualization, but closing your eyes, maybe it's 5 minutes a day, maybe it's 10 minutes a day, and just quiet your mind. I like to do it right in the morning. So that's number one. The second thing would be affirmations. I have freebies if you want. I have like free affirmation. I do also have a free EFT tapping video. But affirmations, not only just, okay, writing them 10 times a day, like people will say, like all different teachers will say different things. Do what works for you, but just be consistent.
Mhm.
That's all I ask. If you're doing mirror work with affirmations, like if you're speaking, looking directly in the mirror, which is amazing. I 10 on 10 recommend that over anything. Look in the mirror and speak the positive affirmations. And if you don't know any, we have the internet at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Search them, Google them, get my free affirmation guide. But yeah, speaking it and finding a place of calmness will is where you will also find more answers that are true to you.
Okay. Perfect. And then the person who's, I want someone to guide me. I want you to tell me everything I need to do. Where should they start?
So I would invite that person to start by tapping into, let's say you have a mentor or someone you look up to, just keep following your intuition. Like, just keep following your intuition. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't make sense logically, I want to invite you to ignore that, because most of the time it doesn't make sense logically, but it just feels right. And what I mean by that is, I mean, I feel like the best example is the car situation. Like, logically, people are like, no, go to the different dealerships, find the best deal, do this, do that. When my intuition was like, no, this is it. I'm going to do it here. So I
Mhm.
listened to what felt right, and get a coach. I recommend having a coach. We're not supposed to do this work alone. Get a coach, get a community, find your people that support you and that want to raise your vibration with you.
Yeah, I think in either realm, if you're able to afford to have a coach or not, experimenting with different things, joining different groups, looking for community, whether online or in person or both, is so huge. We're not meant to do it alone, and it's also a great way to learn because everybody has different perspectives and, you may go into a room where you're trying to meditate and do yoga and come out and learn about NLP and wanna, have that as a part of your toolkit. So I think that's such great advice to get out there and build a community, and that will help as well.
Yeah, community is so powerful. It's how I started too. Like when I started diving into community, I was like, wow, there's other people that think like I do. I'm not the
Mhm.
only one in this world. And it doesn't feel as lonely when you dive into the community. So that's
Yeah.
huge.
It doesn't make you feel like you're alone anymore, and it also allows you to have deeper conversations. Like, you had mentioned that your friendships changed when you were leaving your 9 to 5 job, and it was because you were shifting out of a different mindset. And if you can only have certain levels of depth in conversation with people, it doesn't allow you to get that fulfillment. And that's the importance of having community and conversation is you can go so much deeper with certain people who, like you said, have that same vision as you, have that same those big questions of life. And it's you can dive into those with people who are seeing the same thing.
Yeah, and again, like tuning into your body will feel like an energetic pull toward them. It's
Mm,
you're not gonna wanna run out of the room and go have an anxiety attack. You're gonna wanna stay with them because you just feel your body like there, because it's those are 2 different feelings, like feeling like you wanna stay there versus feeling like you need to fucking get the fuck out of there because your body is like not feeling right. And
yeah.
again, honoring that part of your body and listening to it, period, whether it's staying or getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. What is a piece of advice that you would give for someone in the in between? Maybe they're at a low spot right now. They're looking for a career change or they're just looking for answers within their life. What advice would you leave them?
I would leave them with do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy, what lights you up, whether it's doing makeup, whether it's mowing your fucking lawn, like whether it's spending time with your family. Get yourself in a high vibrational state, which is joy, happiness, love, freedom. Get yourself in those feelings. And I
Mm,
don't know what that is for you. You know what that is for you. And if you don't, explore more about self.
mm.
That's what I would recommend for those who are in the in between.
I love that. It's so true. Well, Jessica, I am so grateful for you and all your wisdom and just being a light on this earth. So thank you so much for being here. Where can all my listeners, followers follow you, connect with you, maybe even book a call to learn more about your offers?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, the at symbol Jessica period Tellian. Also on TikTok. My website is astrongeryou.com. Podcast is a stronger you. Definitely have to have you on my podcast now, which
Yes,
is so
I love
exciting.
it. I seriously am so grateful for you because this conversation, like I mentioned, I'm going into my breakthrough in a couple weeks. So this was just so aligned for me on a very personal level. And just learning more about it from your perspective as a master coach has just gotten me more excited. So thank you so much. If you
Yay.
loved this interview with Jessica, you definitely have to check out her podcast. We'll be linking everything in the show notes and just make sure to give at In Between Combos a follow on Instagram and we'll catch you later.